Adventure Time is one of the most fascinating animated series ever created. Beneath its colorful and playful surface, the show hides layers of deep storytelling, mystery, and complex lore that fans have been trying to piece together for years. From the origins of the Mushroom War to the hidden secrets of the Land of Ooo, Adventure Time is filled with unanswered questions and mind-blowing theories. In this video, we'll explore some of the most intriguing Adventure Time theories, perfect for drifting off to sleep. As we journey through these mysteries, let your mind wander into the depths of Oo's past, present, and future. Let's begin. The Land of Ooo is strange, magical, filled with wonder. But beneath its colorful skies and talking candy people lies a history, long forgotten, before the adventures, before the kingdoms, before the magic. There was a world, much like our own, a world of cities, of people, of life, until one day, it all changed. The Mushroom War, a name whispered like a ghost, a war that shattered the earth, reshaped reality, and gave birth to the land we see today. Finn walks across the land, but does he ever wonder what lies beneath his feet? Deep underground, beneath the forests and rivers, remnants of the old world still remain. Rusted machines, broken highways, the bones of a forgotten civilization, buried in time. But what happened? What truly caused the Mushroom War? And why? Does no one remember? Legends say. It was a war unlike any other. A war that did not just end lives, but changed the very fabric of existence, twisting reality into something new, a world where science and magic became one, where creatures beyond understanding began to emerge, where time itself seemed to unravel. But was it just an accident? Or was something controlling it all? Some say it was humans, their greed, their thirst for power that led to destruction. Weapons too powerful, energy too unstable, tearing apart the world in a single flash. Others whisper of something much darker, something that did not just destroy, but transformed, something that still lingers. The Lich, the very embodiment of death. Where did he come from? Could he be a remnant of the war, a force unleashed when the world was consumed by fire, spreading through the ruins like a sickness? Or was he always there, waiting, watching, until the time was right? Marceline remembers, but even she does not know everything. She was just a child, wandering through the wasteland, searching for warmth, for safety, for someone to care. She saw the ruins, the devastation, the empty cities, silent and broken. She saw the monsters, creatures twisted by radiation, bodies reshaped, minds lost. She survived, but at what cost? How much of the old world did she leave behind? The Candy Kingdom, the Fire Kingdom, the Ice Kingdom. They seem ancient, as if they have always been there. But what if they are not? What if they are echoes of the past? What if the Candy Kingdom was built upon a city long gone? What if the Ice King's crown held secrets from a time before magic? What if Ooh is not a new world, but the old one, changed beyond recognition. The pieces are there, scattered like ashes, waiting to be found, waiting to be understood. But who will find them? Who will uncover the truth hidden beneath the surface? And if they do, will they wish they hadn't? The past is a ghost. It lingers. It whispers. It calls. But some things are meant to stay buried. The sky was once blue. The oceans were calm. The cities were full of life. But now, only ruins remain. The Mushroom War did not just end an era. It reshaped existence itself, turning the world into something unrecognizable, twisting everything in ways no one could have foreseen. But what truly caused it? Was it just human conflict? Or was there something more? Some say it started with a weapon, unlike anything seen before. A bomb, not just of fire and destruction, but of mutation. A force that did not just burn, but changed, breaking the laws of nature, merging the impossible. Science and magic, colliding in an instant, creating something new and terrible. Perhaps it was meant to be control, a weapon designed to reshape the world, rather than destroy it. But the moment it was unleashed, the moment it touched the air, it became something else, something beyond human understanding. Reality began to crack. The trees twisted, their roots crawling across the land like living veins. The rivers glowed, pulsing with strange energy. The skies flickered between colors never seen before. And from the ruins, things emerged. Things that should not have existed. Things that should not be. Magic. It had always been there. Hidden, quiet, waiting. But when the war ended, when the dust settled, it was no longer a whisper. It was a storm, spreading through the world, filling the empty spaces left behind, bringing creatures of fantasy to life, and turning the old world into something new. But some were not so lucky. Humans, exposed to the energy, did not just perish. Some became something else. Some became monsters. Some became legends. Look at the creatures of Ooo, the hybrids, the talking animals, the living candy. Are they just magic? Or are they something more? Could they be the last remnants of humanity, changed beyond recognition, no longer knowing what they once were? Does Finn truly walk among strangers? Or does he walk among ghosts? The Lich, he came from somewhere. But was he born from darkness? Or from the war itself? A force created when everything fell apart. A being that did not just survive the war, but became its legacy. A spirit of destruction, waiting, watching, and ready to finish what was started long ago. But there are other survivors, hidden deep in the earth, in the forgotten corners of the world. Humans, still out there, still watching, keeping their existence a secret. But why? What are they hiding from? And what do they know that Finn does not? The past is not gone. It lingers in the ruins, in the shadows, in the stories whispered by those who remember. And if you listen, really listen, you can still hear it. the echoes of a world that once was. Somewhere, deep beneath the ruins, buried under time and dust, the remnants of the old world still exist. Steel doors, rusted shut. Halls lined with flickering lights. Machines still humming. Waiting. Waiting? For what? Or perhaps, for who? The war may have ended. But did it really? Or is its shadow still stretching across time, shaping the world of Ooo in ways no one can see? There are places Finn has never been, places hidden from the light, places where the war never truly ended. The humans who survived, they knew something. They did not just disappear. They hid. They built their bunkers, their shelters, deep underground, away from the chaos above, away from the creatures, away from the magic. But what were they hiding from? Was it the monster? The magic? Or was it something else? Something they knew would come back? Finn, the last human, or so he believes. But what if he is not? What if others are watching? What if they know who he is, and they are waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? The Candy Kingdom, the Ice Kingdom, the Fire Kingdom, they all seem so natural, as if they belong, as if they have always been there. But what if they are not kingdoms, but remnants? What if the Candy Kingdom was built on the ruins of an old city? What if the Fire Kingdom rose from the ashes of a nuclear inferno? What if the Ice Kingdom was not always frozen, but became that way when the world was torn apart, and the Ice King, his crown, the source of his madness, his power, what if it did not just give him magic? What if it trapped him in something older, something unnatural, a relic of the past, with a mind of its own, a memory of a time long gone, whispering in his mind, telling him things he was never meant to know? Magic and technology, once separate, now intertwined. The world after the Mushroom War was not just rebuilt. It was rewritten. New rules, new creatures, new realities. The old world, broken. The new world, rising from its remains. Finn is the last human. But what does that mean? Is he the last of his kind? Or the last who remembers? Is he a relic or a key? A reminder of what once was, or a sign of what is to come? The truth is buried, hidden beneath layers of time, forgotten by most, but not by all. There are those who still know, those who still whisper the old stories, those who still remember. And if Finn ever finds them, if he ever learns the truth, will he wish he never did? The past is a whisper. The future is a mystery. And Ooo is caught in between. The ruins of the old world are everywhere, buried under layers of earth, beneath the roots of strange forests, beneath the waves of twisted oceans. Cities, crumbling, swallowed by time, covered in vines, frozen in a moment of destruction. But in the silence, something still lingers. A presence, a memory, something watching, Finn walks through this world, not knowing, not realizing that every step, every place he visits, is a graveyard of a time, before magic, before creatures, before Ooo. The streets he walks, once filled with humans, the rivers he sails, once part of a world that made sense. But now, nothing is the same. There are stories, buried deep, stories of people who tried to fight back, scientists, soldiers, leaders, all trying to stop what was coming. But nothing could. Nothing could stop the moment the world broke, the moment the war ended, and something else began. The mushroom bomb. Not just a weapon, not just an explosion, but a turning point. A force that changed the very fabric of existence. It did not just destroy, it transformed, warping nature, reshaping reality. And in that instant, the world we knew became the world of Ooo. But if the bomb was so powerful, if it could change everything, then what else did it create? Could it have made something worse than the Lich? Something that still hides. Something waiting. Something that was never meant to exist. The Lich? His origins are a mystery. Some say he was born from the war, a being created from destruction itself. But what if he was not just created? What if he was summoned? What if the bomb did more than change the world? What if it opened something? Something that should have stayed closed? And the Ice King, trapped in his mind, wearing a crown that whispers. A crown from the old world. A crown from before the war. How did it survive? And why does it speak to him? Is it magic? Or is it something else? Something left behind. From a world now lost? The Candy Kingdom. A place of laughter. Of joy. But what if it is not just a kingdom? What if it is an experiment? A creation of the old world? Made to survive the war. A city that should not exist. A city that was never meant to last this long. The war ended, but its secrets did not. There are still hidden places, hidden truths, waiting just beneath the surface, waiting for someone to uncover them. Finn thinks he is searching for adventure. But what if he is actually searching for the truth, a truth that has been buried for far too long? The world of Ooo is a world of wonders, but also a world of echoes, echoes of a past that refused to fade. Ruins, broken machines, strange artifacts, all scattered across the land. Remnants of a time when science ruled, before magic took its place. But what if science never truly left? What if it is still here, hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The Gumball Guardians? Massive, powerful, ancient. Yet they serve a kingdom made of candy. Why? Who built them? Were they created for war? Or were they built to protect something far more important? And then, there is the Nightosphere, a realm of chaos as of darkness. But could it have existed before the war? Could the mushroom bomb have torn open the fabric of reality, allowing creatures from beyond to enter? Creatures that should have never been part of this world. Everything Finn knows. Everything he sees is built on a foundation of something long forgotten. And yet, there are those who remember Princess Bubblegum, wise, intelligent, older than she appears. How much does she really know, and how much has she seen these? She builds, she controls, she watches. Is she merely a ruler? Or is she a guardian of knowledge, a keeper of secrets, protecting the truth from those who seek it? And then there's Simon, not just the Ice King, but the man who came before him, a man who lived in the time before, who saw the world as it once was, who held the knowledge that no one else remembers. But now, it is all lost, buried beneath layers of madness, and a crown that whispers. Finn walks through Ooo, laughing, fighting, adventuring. But every step he takes brings him closer to the truth, a truth that the land itself seems desperate to keep hidden. The Mushroom War did not just end a civilization. It reshaped existence. It rewrote the rules. It turned reality into something unpredictable, something dangerous, something that even now may still be changing. And the greatest question of all, if the mushroom bomb had the power to transform the world once, could it happen again? Let your thoughts drift. Let the mystery settle. And as we leave the ruins of the old world behind, we move deeper into the mysteries of adventure time. Finn believes he is the last human, the only one left, in a world filled with magic, strange creatures, and mysteries older than time. But is that really true? Or is there something hidden beneath the surface, something he has yet to uncover? From the moment Finn was found as a baby, abandoned in the woods, his life has been a mystery. No one knows where he came from, who his parents were, or how he survived in a world that should have swallowed him whole. Jake's parents raised him as their own, treating him like family, teaching him to fight, to survive, to be a hero. But deep down, Finn has always known that he was different. The only human in a world that has moved on without them. The Great Mushroom War wiped out civilization, leaving behind ruins, ghosts of a past long forgotten. But humans did not just vanish. They were erased, every trace of them, wiped from history, their stories left untold, their existence fading like a dream. But why? What happened to them? And more importantly, why is Finn still here? Some say he is the last of his kind, the final remnant of a species long extinct. But others believe the truth is far more complicated. There have been signs, hints, whispers of something more, from the scattered ruins of human civilization to the lost technology buried beneath the earth, to the few fleeting encounters Finn has had with others like him. The first clue came in the form of Susan Strong, a girl, human in appearance, but strange, almost unnatural. Her strength, her hesitation to remove her helmet, her cryptic words, they all hinted at something Finn could not quite grasp. And when she finally did remove the helmet, revealing a human face beneath, Finn felt something he had never felt before. Hope. He was not alone. There were others. There had to be. But Susan was different. Her past was a mystery. Her memories fractured. And as Finn dug deeper, searching for answers, he found more questions. Where had she come from? Why did she not remember? And what did it mean for Finn? The second clue came from the depths of the ocean when Finn and Jake ventured beneath the waves into a forgotten city. They discovered something that should not have existed, a hidden civilization, a place where humans still lived, but not as they once were. These were not the same humans from the old world. They were changed, different, living in the shadows, hiding from the surface, as if they were never meant to return. Why? What were they running from? What truth were they afraid of? And more importantly, why did they leave Finn behind? The final clue was something far more unsettling. A whisper, a warning, that Finn himself might not be what he thinks he is. He has always known that he was human. But what if that was only part of the story? What if he was different? Not because he was the last, but because he was something new, a remnant, a fragment, a puzzle piece. That does not quite fit. The world of Ooo is strange. Time does not move as it should. Memories do not stay where they belong. And some things are not meant to be understood. Could it be that Finn was never meant to be here? Or worse, that he is the key to something much larger than himself? The past holds the answers. But the past has been buried, and Finn may not be ready to dig it up. For now, he walks alone, the last human, or so he believes. Finn walks through the land of Ooo, searching, always searching for something he cannot name. He tells himself he is looking for adventure, for excitement, for heroism. But deep down, he knows the truth. He is looking for answers. Answers about who he is, where he comes from, and why. In a world of magic and mystery, he is the only one of his kind. But the world does not give up its secrets easily. The past is buried, the truth locked away, hidden behind stories and legends, twisted by time, reshaped by memory, until no one knows what is real, and what is simply a tale told to keep the shadows at bay. Finn has searched the ruins, walked through the echoes of the past, but all he finds is silence. There are remnants, scraps of a forgotten time, old machines that no longer function, writings in a language no one speaks, photographs faded beyond recognition, faces blurred, names erased, as if the world itself is trying to forget, as if the past does not wish to be remembered. But then comes the dream, a vision, hazy, distant, but familiar, a place he has never been, but somehow knows, a voice calling out to him, whispering a name he does not recognize, but feels deep within his soul, a name that belongs to him, and yet does not. He wakes, cold, uncertain, and the questions only grow. What if Finn is not the last human? What if he was never meant to be the last? What if the others are still out there, waiting, watching, or worse, hiding from something or someone? that does not wish to be found. The world of Ooo is strange. Time bends, shifts, breaks. Things appear where they should not. Things disappear without a trace. What if the humans did not die? What if they simply left, escaped, to somewhere else? Somewhere beyond the reach of Ooo, beyond the reach of Finn himself. And if that is true, why was he left behind? He tries to push the thoughts away, tells himself that it does not matter, that he is happy, that he has a home, that he has Jake, that he is not alone. But late at night, when the world is quiet, when the stars shine down on a land filled with ghosts, the doubt creeps in. Is he truly the last? Or is he simply the only one who does not know the truth? The answers are out there, waiting. But some truths are not meant to be found. And some doors, once open, can never be closed again. The stars above Ooo twinkle softly, distant, quiet, as if they hold secrets Finn will never hear. He stares up at them sometimes, wondering if someone else is out there, watching them the same way, a human, like him. But the world gives no answers, only more questions, more mysteries, more paths leading nowhere. He has searched the ruins, listened to the stories, followed every clue he could find, and yet the past remains silent. But Finn cannot ignore the feeling, the pull in his chest, the quiet voice in the back of his mind, telling him there is more to the story, that he was not meant to be alone. And then he finds the symbol, deep in an abandoned structure, hidden beneath layers of dust and time, scratched into stone, barely visible, a mark, a sign, something left behind, something human. His fingers trace over it, the rough edges, the faded lines, and for a moment, he feels connected to something. Something ancient, something real. It is not a message, not a warning, not a map. It is something simple, something small. But to Finn, it is everything. Proof. Proof that once, long ago, someone stood where he stands now, someone like him. His heart pounds, his breath catches. But the moment is fleeting. Because with proof comes another realization. If humans were here once, where did they go? The answers may be buried, locked away, forgotten by time. But Finn knows one thing for certain. He is not alone. Somewhere, out there, the last remnants of humanity still exist. Maybe in the ruins, maybe in the shadows, maybe in a place no one has dared to look. And if they are still out there, if they are waiting, hiding, surviving, then one day, he will find them. One day, Finn the human will no longer be the last. For now, he walks forward, carrying the weight of the unknown, the burden of questions left unanswered, but with hope in his heart. Hope that the story of humanity is not yet over. Finn stands at the edge of the ocean, where the waves kiss the shore, where the horizon stretches endlessly before him. He has walked through the ruins, searched the deepest forests, climbed the highest peaks. But the answers still elude him. The wind carries whispers, voices that are not there, echoes of a past long forgotten. Or perhaps voices of those who still remain. If he listens closely, if he lets the world fall silent, he can almost hear them, calling, waiting, watching. Somewhere out there, beyond the lands he knows, beyond the places he has seen, the truth is waiting. He does not know if he is ready to find it, but he knows he must try. He looks down at his hands, at the scars left behind from battles fought, from enemies defeated, from a life spent fighting to survive. But survival's not enough. Not anymore. He wants to know. He needs to know. Is he truly the last? Or has he simply not searched far enough? The world of Ooo is vast, filled with wonders and horrors beyond imagining. And hidden within its depths are the remnants of the past, lost cities, forgotten bunkers, messages left behind by those who came before. Somewhere among them is the truth of what happened to humanity, the truth of why Finn is here, alone, the truth of where the others have gone, and if there is even the smallest chance that someone is still out there, then Finn will find them, because that is who he is, a hero, a seeker, a boy with a heart too big for the world he was born into. He takes a deep breath, the salty air filling his lungs, and steps forward, beyond the ocean, beyond the stars. The journey is not over. Somewhere, someone is waiting, and Finn, the human, will not stop until he finds them. Let your mind drift. Let your thoughts fade. As the search for the last humans continues into the night, dive beneath the surface, beyond the ruins, beyond the echoes of the old world. Something stirs. A force, older than Ooo, older than the Mushroom War, older than time itself. It does not hunger, it does not feel. It only exists to end. It is the Lich. Most believe he was born from the war, a product of destruction. But what if that is not the truth? What if the Lich was never created, but simply awakened? The mushroom bomb, the explosion that ended the old world. People think it was just a weapon. But what if it was more? What if it was a doorway, a crack in reality? A moment when something from beyond was able to reach through the Lich, an entity unlike anything in Ooo. He is not a king, not a warlord, not a sorcerer. He is something far worse. Something that does not seek power or wealth, but silence. Absolute. Eternal. Silence. Everything he touches turns to dust. Every life he encounters is drained away. Every kingdom, every civilization falls before him. But why? Why does he seek to destroy? Why does he seek to end everything? Perhaps the answer is not in what he does, but in what he is. Not a being, not a monster, but a force, a concept, the very embodiment of the end itself. And if that is true, and stopping him may be impossible, Finn has fought him, defeated him, stopped him time and time again. But the Lich never truly dies. He only waits. Waits for the right moment. Waits for the next chance. Because no matter how many times he falls, his purpose remains the same. And then there is Sweet Pea, a child, innocent, unaware. But inside him, the Lich still sleeps. What does that mean? Is he gone? Or is he simply waiting to return? The Lich is not a villain, not in the way others are. He does not conquer. He does not seek revenge. His existence is a mission. A mission to erase all life, to bring the universe to its natural end. But where did he come from? Is he a creation of the Mushroom War? Or did the war simply give him a way in? Some say he was always there, waiting, watching. A force beyond time, beyond reality, and when the world collapsed, when chaos consumed everything. That was when he saw his chance. That was when he reached out and took his first breath. But if that is true, then the Lich is not just a creature. He is a sign that Ooo is living on borrowed time. The Lich does not speak of conquest. He does not crave gold or land or power, because his purpose is far greater. Wherever he walks, life withers, the grass turns black, the trees crumble, the rivers dry. His presence alone is enough to drain the world, as if reality itself is rejecting him, as if he is something that should not exist. But maybe that is the truth. What if the Lich was never meant to be here? What if he is not from Ooo, not from the world before, not from the Mushroom War, but from somewhere beyond? A world without time, without light, without life. A place where nothing grows, nothing moves. A void, infinite, endless. Where he is all that remains. What if the Lich is not trying to destroy you, but trying to return the world to what it once was? Not before the war, but before everything. Before the stars, before existence, before life itself. The end of all things. If this is true, then the Lich does not need an army. He does not need followers, warriors, allies. Because he is not fighting a war, he is simply carrying out fate. A fate that cannot be stopped. Finn has battled him, faced him in different forms. A skeleton king, a whispering curse, a parasite in the minds of others. And yet, every time he is defeated, he comes back. Because you cannot kill the end. You can only delay it. So why does he wait? Why does he hide in shadows, biding his time, instead of wiping out Ooo all at once? Perhaps. He is not yet strong enough. Perhaps. There is something still holding him back. Something keeping his power from reaching its full potential. And what if that something is Sweet Pea? A child. Pure, kind, innocent. But inside him, the Lich's essence still lingers. Dormant, but not gone. Does this mean the Lich can change? That he can be something else? Something other than destruction? Or does it mean he is simply waiting for the day? That Sweet Pea remembers who he really is. And when that day comes, what will happen to Ooo? Let that question linger. As we go even deeper into the Lich's true nature. The Lich is not like the villains Finn has fought before. He does not rage. He does not plot. He does not hunger. He simply waits. Because time does not matter to him. To him. The end is inevitable. It is only a question of when. But if the Lich believes that all life must end, then why does he speak? Why does he manipulate? Why does he try to make others do his bidding? The answer may lie in his voice. His words are slow, heavy, poisonous. They do not just carry sound. They carry something deeper. A pull, a weight, a whisper that sinks into the mind. Those who listen too long feel something change inside them. A coldness, a stillness, as if their soul is being unraveled. This is the true danger of the Lich. Not his strength, not his magic, but his voice, his ability to turn words into weapons. Because the Lich does not destroy with fire. He destroys with despair. He makes his victims believe that the end is inevitable, that nothing they do matters. That resistance is meaningless. And once that thought takes root, he does not need to fight, because they will surrender on their own. But Finn is different. Finn does not listen. He fights, even when the battle is hopeless, even when the odds are impossible, because he believes in something the Lich cannot understand: hope. But what if? That is exactly what the Lich wants. What if every battle, every fight, every time Finn has stood against him, has been part of the plan? What if Finn is not stopping him? What if Finn is helping him? Because the more Finn fights, the stronger the Lich becomes. The more he is remembered. The more he exists. The more he exists, the closer he comes to fulfilling his purpose. So what if the only way to truly defeat the Lich is not to fight him at all? What if the only way to stop him is to forget him, to let him fade, to let him become nothing, to let his name disappear from history? Because if no one fears him, if no one speaks of him, if no one remembers him, then maybe he will cease to be. But the question is that even possible? Or has the Lich already won? The Lich has been stopped before, locked away, sealed, trapped in different forms, but never truly destroyed. Because the Lich is not just a being. He is an idea, and ideas cannot be killed. Even when his body is broken, his essence lingers, whispers in the dark, echoes in forgotten places, waiting for someone to listen. Because that is all he needs. One mind, one soul, to hear his voice, to let him in, to bring him back. And when he returns, he does not return the same each time, and he learns. Each time, he grows stronger. The first time, he was a walking corpse, a king of bones, a creature of death. The second time, he was a whisper, a presence inside others, controlling them, using them. The third time, he was reborn, not as a monster, but as a child. Sweet pea, innocent, unaware. A new form, a new chance, a new way. To wait, because maybe the Lich has realized something terrifying, that he does not need to fight. He does not need to destroy. He does not need to spread death, because time will do it for him. All things fade. All things fall. The universe itself will one day collapse. And when that happens, the Lich will have won. So maybe he does not need to bring the end. Maybe he only needs to survive, to outlast everything else, to be the last thing standing. When the final light fades, and if that is his true plan, then there is no battle to fight, no war to win, only a waiting game. A game he knows he will win, because the Lich is patient, and time is on his side. So what can Finn do? What can anyone do? If the Lich cannot be destroyed, if he is a force, an inevitability, then is resisting him nothing more than delaying the end? Or is there something even the Lich has not considered? Something greater than power, greater than time, greater than death itself? Hope. The belief that even in the face of the end, there is still something worth fighting for. That as long as there is even one person willing to stand against him, the Lich will never truly win, because the end is not inevitable. Not if someone refuses to let it come. But what happens when that person is gone? What happens when Finn is no longer there to fight? Will the next hero rise? Or will the Lich finally have his victory? The Lich does not fear Finn. He does not fear swords. He does not fear magic, because he knows these things cannot stop him. But what if there is something he does fear? Something deeper, something stronger, something that threatens his very existence. Not a weapon, not a warrior, but an idea. The idea of change. The Lich believes that all things must end. That destruction is the only truth. That existence itself is a mistake. But what if he is wrong? What if the universe is not meant to collapse, but to evolve? What if life is not meant to fade, but to grow? What if the end is not a certainty, but a choice? Because the Lich has never changed. He has never been anything but what he was born to be, death. But Finn has changed. Marceline has changed. Even Simon, even Princess Bubblegum, even Sweet Pea, who was once the Lich himself, has changed. So maybe that is the Lich's greatest weakness. Not swords, not spells, not seals, but the fact that he cannot grow. He cannot become something new. He is trapped in his own purpose, a slave to his own existence. And maybe that is why he loses. Because while the Lich remains the same, the world around him keeps moving forward. Life does not surrender. It does not give up. It does not simply accept that the end is coming. It fights. It survives. It transforms. So maybe that is how the Lich is truly defeated. Not by battle, not by war, not by destruction, but by proving that he is wrong. That life is stronger than death. That change is stronger than fate. That hope is stronger than fear. Because as long as there is even one spark left, one person who believes, then the Lich can never truly win. He can never truly end the world. Because the world will always find a way to begin again. So maybe the question is not whether the Lich will return, or whether Finn can stop him, or whether the end is coming. Maybe the question is, what comes after the end? And maybe that is the one thing even the Lich does not know. Let that thought linger as we move to the next mystery of Ooo. Simon Pettercaw was never meant to be a tragic figure. He was a scholar, a man of curiosity, a lover of history. But fate had other plans. It all began with a crown, a simple artifact, a piece of history. But history has power, and Simon did not understand what he had found. Not yet. The whispers began, soft at first, like an echo in his mind, then louder, stronger, until there were no longer whispers, but commands. The crown was changing him. He felt it in his thoughts, in his words, in the way Betty looked at him. Concerned, afraid, heartbroken, because she knew the man she loved was slipping away, and Simon knew it too. He tried to fight it, to hold on, to resist the pull of the crown, to stay, Simon. But the crown does not ask, takes. And so, Simon Pettercaw now is faded, and in his place stood the Ice King, a madman, a fool, a lonely ghost of a man, obsessed with princesses, speaking nonsense, a king with no kingdom, a ruler with no throne, a prisoner in his own mind. But deep inside, Simon was still there, buried beneath the madness, trapped, screaming, begging to be free. And Betty never stopped listening. She had lost him, but she refused to let him go. She devoted her life, her soul, everything she was, to saving him, searching for answers, diving into magic, even bending time itself, risking everything, to bring Simon back. But the truth is, some things cannot be undone. Some fates cannot be escaped. And sometimes, in trying to save someone, you lose yourself instead, because Betty never gave up. But in the end, neither did the crown, and its grip was too strong. So Betty did the only thing she could, the only thing she had left. She made the ultimate sacrifice. She gave herself to Gob, a force beyond comprehension, beyond time, beyond even death itself. She became something, not human, not mortal, not even real. She became nothing, and in doing so, she saved Simon. But the cost was everything, because now Simon is free. He walks the world, no longer mad, no longer lost, but he walks alone. The woman he loved is gone. But is she truly gone? Or does she still exist? Somewhere, lost in the void, trapped in the mind of an ancient being, a whisper in the chaos, a memory, struggling to hold on. And if she is, then maybe, just maybe, there is still a way to bring her back. But the question is, can Simon risk losing himself all over again? Simon is free. His mind is clear. The crown no longer whispers, no longer pulls him into madness. But is he truly free? Because freedom comes with a price. For the first time in centuries, he remembers everything. Not just glimpses, not just fractured thoughts, but all of it. Every moment of madness, every delusion, every mistake, every princess he chased, every friend he lost. Every time he called out for Betty, and she wasn't there. He remembers how it felt. To know what was happening to him. To know he was slipping away. To know he was hurting the people around him. And to be powerless. To stop it. And worst of all, he remembers that Betty never stopped trying to save him. He remembers that she gave everything. That she sacrificed herself. Not just her life, but her existence, for him. And now, she is gone. So how is Simon supposed to live with that? How is he supposed to wake up every day, knowing that Betty is lost? Because of him? The truth is, he doesn't know. He walks through Ooo, not as a hero, not as a king, but as a man out of time. A man who doesn't belong. The world has changed. It has moved forward. But Simon is still trapped in the past. And maybe that's the real tragedy. Because Betty gave up everything. So Simon could live. But Simon doesn't know how. He is not the man he was before the crown. He is not the Ice King anymore. He is something in between. A ghost, walking through a world that has left him behind. And maybe that's why he starts searching. Not for a cure. Not for magic. But for something even more impossible. A way to bring Betty back. Because if she sacrificed everything for him, how can he live with himself if he doesn't try to do the same? But the question is there even a way? Can gold be reasoned with? Can a mind lost to the void ever return? Or is Simon searching for something that cannot be found? And if he is, then what happens when he realizes that he has spent his second chance chasing a dream that will never come true? Will he accept it? Will he find a way to move forward? Or will he do something desperate? Something that could cost him everything. All over again? Because Simon is not a hero. He is just a man. A man who lost the person he loved most. A man who might not be strong enough to let her go. And if he isn't, then his story might not have a happy ending. Simon searches, not because he has hope, but because he has nothing else. Without Betty, who is he? A scholar? A historian? A relic from a world that no longer exists? He tries to move forward, to find purpose, to live the life that Betty wanted for him. But every time he closes his eyes, he sees her face. He hears her voice, not in whispers, not in memories, but in the emptiness, in the silence, like a piece of him that was carved away and can never be whole again. And so, he keeps searching, looking for forgotten spells, for ancient knowledge, for any clue that might lead him back to her. But Ooo is not kind, and magic does not give without taking. There are those who warn him. Marceline, Princess Bubblegum, even Finn. They see what he is doing. They see how it's consuming him. And they worry that if Simon is not careful, he will lose himself again. But Simon does not listen. Because for him, this is not obsession. This is love. And love is the one thing he cannot let go of. So he digs deeper, finding books written in languages long forgotten, seeking out creatures older than the Mushroom War, searching for any trace of Galb, any way to reach the being that took Betty away. But the truth is, Galb is not a god, not a demon, not something that can be reasoned with. Galb is entropy itself. It is the force that unravels all things, that consumes order, that twists reality, and leaves only chaos behind. And Simon, a mere human, thinks he can stand against it. He is not Finn, not Bubblegum, not a hero, just a broken man, trying to fight something that does not even acknowledge his existence. And yet, he still tries. Because if there is even the smallest chance that Betty is still out there, still waiting, still trapped, then how could he ever stop? How could he ever accept that she is truly gone? But what happens if he finally finds the answer? If he looks into the abyss, and the abyss looks back? If he comes face to face with Gold and realizes that there is no bringing her back, that Betty is gone, and nothing he does will ever change that? Would he finally let go? Would he finally grieve? Or would he throw himself into the void and let it consume him too? Because sometimes the worst thing you can find is the truth. And the truth is, Simon may not be searching for Betty. He may be searching for a way to end his own pain. Simon stands at the edge, staring into the unknown. The answers he sought are finally within reach. But the cost is more than he ever imagined, because finding the truth does not mean accepting it. It would be easier to lie to himself, to believe that if he just tries hard enough, if he just finds the right spell, the right power, he can bring Betty back. But some things cannot be undone. Simon knows this deep down, but knowing and accepting are not the same. So he takes one final step, one final attempt to reach Betty, wherever she may be. But as he calls out to the void, there is no answer, no voice, no sign, only silence. And in that silence, Simon finally understands. Betty is gone. Not lost, not waiting, gone. And for the first time, he allows himself to feel it. The weight of her absence, the pain he has been running from, the grief he refused to accept. It crashes over him like a wave, drowning him, swallowing him whole. And for a moment, he wants to stay there, to let the grief take him, to disappear into it, just like Betty did. But then he remembers something. He remembers her voice, not in sorrow, not in fear, but in love. He remembers the way she laughed, the way he believed in him, the way she never gave up on him, not even when he was lost. And he realizes that she did not save him, so he could spend the rest of his life searching for her. She saved him, so he could live. So maybe it is time. Time to let go. Time to move forward. Time to honor Betty not by chasing ghosts, but by living the life she would have wanted for him. It will not be easy. The pain will not disappear. But maybe that is the point. Because love does not end just because someone is gone. And Betty will never truly be gone as long as Simon remembers her. So he turns away from the void, from the past, from the endless search, and for the first time in a long, long time, Simon Petrikov chooses to live. And maybe, just maybe, that is what Betty would have wanted all along. Let that final thought settle as we close the book on the tragedy of Simon and Betty. Somewhere, beyond time, beyond space, beyond the limits of reality itself, there exists a single room, a quiet place, a place outside of everything, yet connected to all things, a place where destinies are rewritten, where possibilities unfold, where the fabric of reality itself can be shaped with a single wish, and at the center of it all is Prismo, the cosmic wishmaster, the dreamer behind the curtain, the architect of countless realities, and perhaps the most important force in the multiverse. But what if Prismo is more than just a wish granter? What if his role is far greater than anyone realizes? Because every wish has a consequence. Every change to reality creates ripples across the multiverse. And what if Prismo's true purpose is not to grant wishes, but to guide reality itself, to protect it, to shape it, to ensure that the multiverse does not fall into chaos? Think about it. Prismo is not bound by time, not bound by a single reality. He exists in between, watching, waiting, carefully choosing which wishes to grant, and which ones are too dangerous to exist. Because in a multiverse as vast as this one wrong wish could unravel everything. And maybe that is why Prismo has rules. Why he cannot grant wishes to himself. Why he speaks in riddles. Why he sometimes nudges people towards the right choice, instead of simply giving them what they ask for. Because Prismo is not just a wishmaster. He is a guardian, a silent protector of reality itself. But the real question is, who gave him this role? Where does his power truly come from? And if Prismo were ever to break the rules, what would happen to the multiverse? These are the mysteries that few dare to ask. But tonight, we will venture into the unknown, unraveling the hidden truth of Prismo's secret role in the multiverse. Prismo's power is unlike anything else in existence. It does not come from magic, not from science, not from gods or demons, but from something far more fundamental: the power of dreams. Because Prismo is not a being in the traditional sense. He is a dream, a thought, a ripple in reality, created by the slumbering mind of an ancient, unknowable entity. The true Prismo is not the playful pink figure we see, but the body lying in deep sleep, in a hidden chamber, somewhere beyond time. And as long as that body sleeps, Prismo exists. But if it wakes, Prismo disappears. Think about the implications of that. A being whose existence is entirely dependent on the dreams of another, a force that can shape reality. But only as long as it remains a dream. This means that Prismo's power is not truly his own. He is not a god, not an all-knowing entity, but a conduit for something deeper, something older, something woven into the very fabric of existence. And that raises a terrifying question. If Prismo is just a dream, then who or what created the dreamer? Because if Prismo is the result of a sleeping mind, then that mind must belong to something far greater than him, something capable of dreaming entire realities into existence. And what happens if it ever wakes up? Would Prismo cease to be? Would the multiverse itself begin to unravel? Or would something far worse take its place? These are the questions Prismo never answers. Perhaps because he does not know the answers himself. Or perhaps because knowing the truth would be more dangerous than any wish he has ever granted. Prismo sits in his timeless chamber, a place beyond the reach of mortal beings. His days are spent granting wishes, twisting reality with a simple word, shaping the fates of those who stumble into his domain. But what if granting wishes is not his real purpose? What if the wishes are just a distraction, a way to keep the balance between the countless universes that hang by a thread, because every choice made, every wish granted, every life changed, creates ripples. And if those ripples are not carefully managed, they could become waves, tearing apart the delicate structure of the multiverse itself. Perhaps that is why Prismo exists, not as a being of chaos, but as a force of control, a quiet hand, guiding the flow of reality, preventing small disturbances from becoming cosmic disasters. Think about it. Why does Prismo follow rules when he seems powerful enough to do anything? Why does he refuse certain wishes, even when he technically could grant them? Because he is not acting alone. There is a greater system in place, a structure, a law, that even he must follow. Prismo is powerful, but he is not free. His existence is a paradox, a cosmic being with limitless ability, yet bound by forces older than the multiverse itself. And what happens if he ever breaks the rules? What happens if he grants a wish? That should never be granted. Perhaps the answer is too dangerous to know. Perhaps the true reason Prismo exists is not to shape reality, but to protect it from something far worse. And maybe, just maybe, the rules are there for a reason. But what if the rules Prismo follows are not just to keep the multiverse in balance? What if they are to keep something locked away, something ancient, something that even he is afraid of? Because for all his power, for all his control over reality, there are forces beyond him, things even he cannot change. He jokes, he plays, he acts as though none of it matters. But behind that carefree attitude, there is something else, a quiet awareness, a deep understanding that some things are better left untouched. Consider this. Prismo has seen the rise and fall of countless realities, He has watched entire universes collapse. And yet, he does nothing. Not because he cannot stop them, but because he chooses not to. Because maybe every world that fades, every universe that crumbles, is necessary. Maybe the multiverse itself relies on destruction, just as much as creation. And Prismo is the one who decides which realities live and which ones must end. That is a terrifying thought, because it means Prismo is not just a wishmaster, not just a guardian, but a judge, a being with the power to erase an entire universe, if he believes it must be done. So the real question is, what happens if he ever makes the wrong decision? What if one wish, one choice, one small mistake unravels everything? And if that moment ever comes, who will stop him? Because Prismo is powerful. But he is not infallible. He is still just a dream, a thought suspended between realities, one mistake away from waking up and taking everything with him. That is the danger, the weight of his existence, the secret role he plays in keeping the multiverse intact, a role few understand, and even fewer would ever dare question. Let that settle. As we step back from the cosmic scale and move toward the next mystery of Adventure Time's universe, beyond the Land of Ooo, beyond the boundaries of Finn and Jake's world, there exists another reality, a world that should not exist. Yet somehow, it does. A world where Finn is Fionna, where Jake is Cake, where the faces and names are familiar, but the story is entirely different. A world that began as nothing more than a story, a fictional universe created for amusement, for entertainment. But what if Fionna and Cake's reality is more than just a simple alternate world? What if it is something deeper, something far more mysterious and far more dangerous than anyone realizes? Because this world did not come into existence naturally. It was shaped, brought to life by the mind of one being. A being who never intended for it to be real. And that being was the Ice King, or rather, Simon Petrikov. His madness, his loneliness, his desperate need for connection led him to create stories. To imagine a world where Finn was a girl, where Jake was a cat, where everything felt familiar, yet completely different. At first, it was just a fantasy, ink on paper, ideas in his mind, a way to escape the sadness that haunted him. But in the Land of Ooo, thoughts, ideas, stories have power. And somehow, somewhere along the way, Fionna and Cake's world became real. But here's the question. How? How does a fictional world turn into an actual reality? How does a story cross the boundary between fantasy and existence? Perhaps the answer lies in the nature of the multiverse itself. Because if there are infinite universes, infinite possibilities, then maybe every story ever told, every dream ever imagined, exists somewhere. Maybe Fionna and Cake's world was not just created, but discovered. A reality that was always there, waiting to be found, waiting for someone to give it shape. And that someone was Simon. But if that is true, then what happens? When a fictional world realizes it is not supposed to exist, what happens when a universe is aware that it was never meant to be real? That is where the true mystery begins. Fionna and Cake's world is unlike any other reality. In the Adventure Time multiverse, it does not follow the same rules. It does not have the same logic. It is a world that was never meant to exist, and yet it does. But there is something strange, something unnatural, about how this world functions. Unlike the Land of Ooo, unlike the countless other timelines and dimensions, Fionna and Cake's reality lacks something crucial: magic. It is a world that is fundamentally different from every other universe connected to Ooo. There are no enchanted weapons, no ancient artifacts, no elemental forces shaping the fabric of reality. It is ordinary, too ordinary, as if something or someone removed the very essence of magic from this universe. But why? Why would a world created from a magical being's imagination end up completely devoid of magic? Perhaps because it was never meant to be a real world at all. Perhaps the very existence of Fionna and Cake's universe was a mistake, an accident, a crack in reality that should have never been opened. And once that crack appeared, something or someone tried to fix it, tried to erase it, tried to make sure it never existed in the first place. But instead of destroying it completely, they stripped it of its magic, severed its connection to the rest of the multiverse, leaving it as nothing more than a fragile echo, a forgotten story, drifting in the void. But if that is true, then something even more terrifying must be asked. Who or what has the power to erase an entire universe? And if they failed once, would they try again? If Fionna and Cake's world was meant to be erased, then why does it still exist? Why wasn't it completely destroyed? Like so many forgotten timelines that vanished without a trace. Perhaps because something or someone kept it alive. Someone powerful, someone with access to the fabric of reality itself. Someone like Prismo. Think about it. Prismo was the one who first brought Fionna and Cake into being, not as a real world, but as a story, a dream, a harmless distraction, a way for the Ice King to escape his loneliness, to imagine a different version of reality, one where things made sense, one where he wasn't broken. But Prismo is not just a dreamer. He is a being of incredible power, with the ability to manipulate the multiverse in ways no one else can. And maybe, just maybe, he could not bear to see Fionna and Cake's world erased. Maybe he interfered. Maybe he altered reality to protect them. And in doing so, he broke the natural order. Because Fionna and Cake's reality was never supposed to be stable. It was never meant to function like a normal universe. And yet, here it is, stripped of magic, disconnected from the other realms, but still standing, still existing, a fragile anomaly, balancing on the edge of destruction, waiting for something, or someone, to push it too far. But what happens if that balance is broken? What happens if Fionna and Cake discover the truth? What if they realize their world is not supposed to exist? Would they fight to preserve it? Or would they finally understand that they were never meant to be real? And if they do, will they accept their fate? Or will they challenge it? And if they challenge it, what happens next? If Fionna and Cake's world was never meant to exist, then why does it feel so real? Why do they have thoughts, memories, dreams of their own? Why do they feel like they belong? Perhaps because reality is not as rigid as we think. Perhaps because existence itself is more fluid than anyone realizes. And if that is true, then maybe even a mistake, even an accident, can become something real. But here's the real question. If their world was severed from the multiverse, if magic was stripped away, then why do they still exist? What is keeping them tethered to reality? Is it their own will, their own desire to live, or is something else at work? Maybe something's watching. Something that sees Fionna and Cake's world as a threat. Something that believes their universe should not be. And if that is true, then it is only a matter of time before it takes action, before it tries again to erase them. But will it succeed? Or will Fionna and Cake defy fate itself? Will they prove that even a story, even a dream, can fight to become real? That is the true mystery of Fionna and Cake's reality. A mystery that may never have a clear answer. A story that may never have an ending. But perhaps that is the beauty of it. Because sometimes the stories that weren't supposed to exist are the ones that matter the most. And perhaps, just perhaps, Fionna and Cake's world will find a way to survive. Not as an accident, not as a mistake, but as something truly real. And in the end, isn't that what we all want? To know that we are real? To know that we matter? To know that our story means something? Let that thought stay with you as we prepare to uncover even deeper truths lurking within the multiverse. Everything in the Land of Ooo, everything in the multiverse, is part of a cycle. Life begins, life ends, and then it begins again. This is not just the way things are. It is the way things must be. From the smallest creatures to the most powerful being, nothing escapes the cycle. Not even the gods. Not even the rulers of time and space. Not even death itself. But why? Why does existence follow this pattern? Who decided that everything must be born, must grow, must die, and then begin again? Perhaps it was never a choice. Perhaps the cycle is simply the natural order. Or perhaps there is something or someone ensuring that it continues. In the world of Adventure Time, we see the cycle in many forms. Finn lives, Finn dies, and Finn is reborn again and again across countless lifetimes. Each time he is different. Each time he is new. But in every life, a part of him remains the same. He is always meant to be something more. A hero, a protector, a warrior, in some way or another. But he is not the only one bound to this fate. The cosmic owl appears in dreams, guiding people, showing them glimpses of their fate. Prismo exists in his own timeless state, yet his actions ripple across reality, setting events into motion that repeat over and over again. Even the Lich, the manifestation of destruction itself, is merely another force, another part of the cycle. But what is the purpose of this endless repetition? Is it to learn, to grow, to fix past mistakes? Or is it simply an inescapable fate that no one can change? And if that is true, then what happens? When someone tries to break the cycle, what happens? When someone refuses to play their role, can the cycle be broken? Or will the universe itself force it to continue? If the cycle is truly inescapable, then why do some beings try to resist it? Why do some fight against their destined roles? Why do they struggle to change what seems unchangeable? Maybe because deep down, they believe the cycle is not perfect. Maybe because they see its flaws. Maybe because they believe that fate should not be written in stone. Take Simon, for example. Once a kind-hearted man, turned into the Ice King by forces beyond his control. Trapped in a never-ending loop of madness and loss, always longing, always searching for something or someone he could never truly reach. He was not meant to escape, and yet he did. But at what cost? For without the Ice King, without his madness, the world itself changed in ways no one could predict. And then there's the Lich, the bringer of death, the destroyer of worlds, a being who seeks to end all life, to stop the cycle completely. No more rebirth, no more second chances, only stillness, only silence, only nothing. But even he fails. Even he is trapped within the very system he wants to destroy. For whenever he rises, he is defeated. Again, and again, and again. And each time, the cycle begins anew. It raises the question: is the cycle truly unbreakable, or does it persist? Because no one has yet succeeded in ending it. Maybe the reason Finn is reborn, lifetime after lifetime, is because he is meant to find the answer. Maybe his journey is not just about being a hero. Maybe it is about understanding the forces that bind all things together. And maybe, one day, he will find a way to do what no one else has done. To either change the cycle or break it entirely. But if that day ever comes, what will the world become? When the cycle is no more, if the cycle is broken, what comes next? Does the world stop spinning? Does time itself unravel? Or does something new, something unseen, take its place? This is the question that lingers at the edge of existence. Because if the cycle is all there is, then to end it would be to step into the unknown And the unknown can be terrifying. But perhaps it is also necessary. Perhaps. The cycle was never meant to last forever. Perhaps. It was always leading to something else. Something greater. Something beyond birth and death. Beyond destruction and rebirth. Beyond fate itself. But what could that be? If Finn's many lives are steps in a journey, then what is the final destination? Is it true freedom? A world without destiny? A world where choices are made, without the weight of an endless loop? Or is the cycle itself the very thing that gives meaning to life? If things were to truly end, would that be peace? Or would it be a fate worse than anything the Lich could bring? These are the questions that few dare to ask. Because to challenge the cycle is to challenge the foundation of reality. And yet, some have tried. Prismo bends the rules, reshaping time and space, creating realities that should not exist. The Lich seeks to destroy it, to erase the pattern, and replace it with nothing, even Golb, a being beyond all understanding, exists outside the cycle's grasp, but none have succeeded. Not truly. The cycle endures, stronger than any force, older than any god, more powerful than any desire to escape it. Yet in Finn, there is something different, a spark, a possibility, a potential for something more. Because while others seek to break the cycle, or control it, or escape it, Finn simply lives within it. He does not rage against it. He does not deny it. He simply walks forward. And maybe that is the key. Not to end the cycle, not to destroy it, but to understand it, to master it, to find the truth hidden deep within it. And maybe, just maybe, that truth will change everything. If the truth of the cycle could be understood, what would it reveal? Would it show us that everything is predetermined, that no choice ever mattered, that everything Finn has done, everything anyone has done, was always meant to happen? Or would it reveal that the cycle is not a prison, but a path, a journey, meant to be walked again and again, not as punishment, but as growth, a way for the universe to learn, to evolve, to become something greater? If that is true, then Finn's role is not to break the cycle, nor to escape it, but to move it forward, to push it beyond what it has always been, into something new. And if he can do that, then maybe, just maybe, the cycle is not a loop, but a spiral, not endlessly repeating, but slowly changing, each time becoming something more. The past shapes the present shapes the future, and the future becomes the past, to shape the cycle once again. But this time, it is different. This time, the cycle carries knowledge, lessons learned, mistakes corrected, new possibilities unlocked, and maybe, one day, the cycle will not be needed at all. One day, Finn may take his final step, not into another life, not into another rebirth, but into something truly unknown, a place beyond fate, beyond gods, beyond endings and beginnings, A place where he is free, truly free, for the first time. And when that day comes, the universe itself may change forever. But until then, the cycle continues. The story of Adventure Time ends, but the world of Ooo continues. The Great Gum War is over. Gulb has come and gone, leaving behind a world forever changed. Simon is free, free from the Ice King's curse, but lost without Betty. Finn and Jake's journey has reached its final chapter. But what comes next? What happens? When the heroes step out of the spotlight, when the adventures fade, and the echoes of the past begin to settle, the Land of Ooo has always been a place of chaos, rebirth, and mystery. But after the finale, a strange quiet settles over the world. Not an ending, but a beginning of something new. A world where peace is fragile, where old shadows linger, and where the cycle has not yet reached its final turn. So what truly happens after the end? Does Ooo fall into ruin? Does it find lasting peace? Or does something unexpected change everything once again? Simon, now free of the Ice King's madness, walks through a world that no longer needs him. The man who was once a scholar, then a king, then a fool, is now simply a lost soul. Betty sacrificed herself to save him, but in doing so, she became something beyond human, beyond time, beyond even love itself. She is one with Gulb now. And Simon, for the first time in centuries, is truly alone. Does he try to move forward, or does he spend his days searching for a way to bring her back? Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not what happens to heroes, but what happens to those left behind. Meanwhile, Princess Bubblegum and Marceline have found something rare, something precious, something that has always been just out of reach. Peace for centuries. Bubblegum ruled with an iron will, protecting her people, guiding them through war, science, and disaster. But now, she is simply Bonnibel. Not just a ruler, not just a scientist, but a person. For the first time, she can live for herself, rather than for the Candy Kingdom. And Marceline, the Queen of Vampires, the immortal musician, the rebel, finally has what she always wanted. Not just love, but a home. Their story, once filled with pain, regret, and missed chances, has finally reached a place of warmth. But nothing in Ooo stays peaceful for long. Even as old battles fade, new mysteries begin to stir. The cycle does not stop. The Land of Ooo is not done yet. Even in the quiet, something stirs beneath the surface. The Candy Kingdom rebuilds. But what happens when a kingdom no longer needs a queen? Princess Bubblegum has spent centuries ruling, shaping the world, controlling every outcome. But now, the kingdom is safe. It thrives. It no longer depends on her alone. For the first time, Bonnibel must face a life without the weight of a nation on her shoulders. Does she step away completely? Or does she struggle to let go? Old habits die hard, and for someone who has lived so long, change is never easy. And then there's Marceline. She has never cared for power, never wanted to rule, never wanted responsibility. But now, she has something to lose. Love, a home, a future. And the weight of those things can be just as heavy as the weight of a kingdom. Meanwhile, deep beneath the ruins of old cities, in the forgotten corners of Ooo, something ancient lingers. The world is still marked by the Mushroom War. The scars of that disaster have not fully healed. There are still creatures, still beings, still forces of destruction that lurk in the shadows, waiting. The world may seem at peace, but it is only a matter of time before something awakens. And when it does, who will be there to stop it? Finn, the greatest hero of Ooo, has stepped away from the fight. Not because he has given up, but because for the first time, he is searching for something beyond adventure. He has spent his life fighting, saving others, being a hero. But now, for the first time, he is asking himself, who is Finn? When he isn't fighting, without a sword, without a quest, without a great evil to defeat, who is he? A hero who no longer needs to be a hero is left with a strange kind of emptiness. And so he wanders across the lands of Ooo, not searching for monsters or lost princesses, but for something far more elusive, a purpose. But purpose is not so easy to find. And as Finn searches, the world begins to shift. Small things. At first, a whisper in the wind, a flicker of something unnatural. In the night sky, the air feels different. Something is coming. Something that Ooo has never faced before. And when it arrives, will there still be a hero left to stand against it? Something is coming. Not another war, not another villain, not another battle to be fought and won. But something different, something deeper, something that shakes the very foundation of Ooo and everything that came before it. Because the truth is, the land of Ooo is still built on the ashes of the old world. The past has never truly been buried. The Mushroom War, the disaster that ended humanity, was not just an ending. It was a beginning. And beginnings always have consequences. Deep beneath the earth, in the places where no one dares to look, there are remnants, not just ruins, not just artifacts, but something still alive, something waiting, something watching, something that has been silent for centuries, until now. Perhaps it is a force older than even the Mushroom War. Perhaps it is something from before the end, before the beginning. Or perhaps it is humanity itself, trying to return. Because Ooo is a land built by magic. But before magic, there was science. And the two have never truly coexisted. What if the old world is not as dead as everyone believes? What if something survived, something buried, something that should have stayed forgotten? Perhaps it starts with whispers, the way the stars seem to move in patterns no one understands, the way old machines, long thought broken, suddenly start to hum with a strange energy, or the way some people start to dream of a world they've never known, a world of steel, of concrete, of towers that touch the sky, a world before Ooo. But these are just dreams, aren't they? Just echoes of something that no longer exists. Finn dreams of it. At first, he doesn't understand. Visions of streets filled with people, of glowing signs, of voices speaking in languages that have been lost to time. He dreams of a sky that was once blue, before it burned. And when he wakes, he feels something that he has never felt before, a connection to something ancient and forgotten, something that is trying to return. Ooo is changing, and Finn is caught in the middle of it. But he is not the only one. Deep in the Ice Kingdom, Simone is beginning to hear whispers, not of magic, not of madness, but of knowledge. Something calling out to him, something from a past he barely remembers. Something that shouldn't exist anymore. And if the past is returning, then Ooo may never be the same again. The past is waking up, and Ooo is not ready for it. Finn feels it, in the way the air seems heavier, the way the ground seems to hum as if something beneath it is alive. Simon hears it, in the echoes of forgotten voices, calling from beyond the ice, telling him things he does not understand yet. Bubblegum notices it, in the shifting structure of reality itself, as if the very fabric of Ooo is being rewritten. Marceline just listens, because for her, this has happened before. She has lived through endings, through transformations, through the unraveling of worlds, and she knows that change always comes with a cost. So what is the cost this time? What if the magic of Ooo was never meant to last forever? What if it was just a pause, a moment in the long, long history of time, before something else took its place? What if the age of magic is ending? What if the real question is not, what happens next, but who survives? When it does, perhaps it begins with the stars. Prismo sees them first, the way the multiverse shudders, as if something is pushing against it. From the outside, something that does not belong, something that was locked away for a reason. And now, that lock is breaking. Prismo tries to warn someone, but he is just a wishmaster, a fragment of something larger, a dream. And the thing that is coming does not care for dreams. It only cares for what was lost and what must be restored. Because before magic, before Ooo, before the end of the world, there was something else. The humans who came before did not simply vanish. They were erased, buried beneath centuries of myth and legend, their history wiped clean by something or someone who did not want them to return. But history has a way of forcing itself back into the present. And as Finn dreams, as Seaman listens, as Bubblegum studies the strange changes in the air. The past is already seeping through. An old satellite, broken for centuries, suddenly turns back on. A message is transmitted across Ooo in a language no one remembers. The stars shift again, and somewhere, deep in the earth, something opens its eyes. The final mystery of Ooo is not what happens next. It is what came before. And now, that truth is waking up. Something has returned. Not a person, not a monster, not a force of magic, but something far older, something that has waited since the first bomb fell, since the first human screamed and the world burned. Something that should have stayed buried, but the past always find a way back. Finn doesn't know why he is the one who hears it, why the dreams won't stop, why every time he closes his eyes, he sees cities covered in dust. He hears voices calling his name in a language he does not understand. He sees people, but their faces are blurred, and the sky above them is cracked. Simon has seen this before, long ago, before the Ice King, before Ooo, before everything he has known. There was something at the edge of the world, a remnant, a memory, a warning. It was locked away because it was too dangerous. And now, the lock is breaking. Marceline watched the sky as the stars flicker, and she remembers. She remembers the last time. Everything changed. The last time the old world tried to rise again. It didn't end well. Bubblegum tries to study it, tries to measure it, tries to control it. But this is not something she can contain. This is not candy science. This is something else. Something that does not belong to magic, or to wishes, or to fate. Something that belonged to the humans. And the humans are long gone, aren't they? Then why? Does Finn hear their voices? Why does he feel like something is calling him? Why does it feel like Ooo itself is about to change forever? Because this is not just the end of an era. It is the beginning of something new. Not a battle, not a war, not a villain to defeat, but a truth that cannot be ignored. The past was never really gone. It was just waiting for the right moment to return. And that moment has finally come. And so, we traveled through the mysteries of Ooo, uncovering lost histories, hidden truths, and the secrets that shaped this strange world. From the Mushroom War to the Lich's true plan, from Prismo's hidden role to the final fate of Ooo, Adventure Time was never just one story, but a world that keeps evolving, even after the final episode fades. So as you drift into sleep, let your mind wander through the quiet hills, the forgotten ruins, and the endless possibilities of a place where adventure never truly ends. If you enjoyed this journey and want more stories to fall asleep to, like this video and subscribe to Sleepy Lore, because dreams are just another kind of adventure. Good night.